Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to present this video titled Informed Choices, Gender Gaps in Career Advice, based on my joint work with Melanie Wasserman at UCLA. There is substantial evidence that information matters for important decisions such as educational and occupational choices. For example, when researchers provide individuals with information about the returns to attending high school or to attending college, those individuals change their attendance behavior. There's similar evidence for college major choice and for job choice. But information is often not provided by researchers and not provided even formally. We study information that's exchanged through informal and private means. For example, a conversation with a professor in their office, a quick chat with a potential employer. These conversations are not accessible to all individuals and may be influenced by personal characteristics. We ask, is this informal information gender blind? In a large-scale field experiment, we study how undergrads seeking information about potential careers from professionals gather information. So does student gender affect information received about careers? We focus on career attributes known to affect female labor market choices, in particular work-life balance and competitive culture. We find that responses that professionals give students do differ by student gender. Women receive twice as many mentions of work-life balance issues, and these differences are not driven by response rates. There's no differential emphasis on competitive culture, however. Our experimental design is using an online professional networking platform with real professionals and real students. The fields that we focus on are law, management consulting, data science, and finance. We chose these fields because they're the most common career paths for students graduating with an economics degree from the university. Our sample is 10,000 professionals who graduated from top colleges, work in the student city, and work in one of these 4 fields. We recruit real students who are interested in learning about these fields to contact 100 professionals and ask the professional one question about their job. Whether the professional receives a message from a male or female student is random, and the type of question that they're asked is randomized. There are 4 types of questions. The first is a broad message, which asks for the pros and cons of the professional's career. Then we ask 2 more narrow or focused questions. One, which asks whether work-life balance is a concern in the professional's field, and another which asks whether competitive culture is a concern in the professional's field. We focus on these issues again because they're commonly brought up as potential differences between men and women in the workplace. And we also limit our analysis in the broad message to looking at whether work-life balance concerns and competitive culture concerns are differentially brought up when they're not solicited. We also ask another question, a factual question about billable hours requirements. This is something that is verifiable online, and we believe that the answers would not differ between men and women based on their worries about work-life balance or their preferences concerning the workplace. All messages emphasize that the student is not seeking a job. So our design seeks to separate kind of career concerns from just gathering information. What we find in the broad question is that work-life balance is mentioned more than twice as often for women as compared to men. This is when they don't specifically ask about it. So this shows the results of a regression of probability, number of times work-life balance is mentioned on whether a student is female. The first column includes controls for the date and time the message was sent, and also for information clearly visible on the student's profile. We also include controls in the second column for student race or ethnicity, which is potentially possible to infer from the name. And in the last column, we include additional controls, which we have from a background survey of the student. These are meant to control for things that the professionals could possibly find online about the student. We also ask a more specific question. So we don't just look at whether work-life balance is spontaneously brought up more to female students, but conditional on raising this as a concern that's important to a student, do male and female students get different answers? And we find that In a sense, they do. Female students are getting 25% more replies than male students when they specifically say that they're interested in learning about work-life balance in the professional's career. To give you some sense of what these responses look like, they are generally not telling students that work-life balance isn't a concern. An example would be, yes, I would expect between 60 to 80 hours of work per week and very low predictability Monday through Thursday. So these responses generally reinforce the idea that work-life balance is difficult in these fields, and women are getting those responses at a higher rate than men, even when men specifically say that they're interested in learning about this issue. So overall, a research question again is, does student gender affect information received about careers? We find that responses do differ by student gender. Women hear more about work-life balance issues. They don't hear differentially about workplace culture, and women are more likely to receive a response when they specifically ask about whether work-life balance is a concern. So women get both more unsolicited mentions of work-life balance when they ask for general advice, and they are more likely to receive a response when asking about work-life balance specifically. So this information difference is interesting because unlike other kinds of information which are formally available, private informal exchanges have an element of nighty and uncertainty. Students may not know some career attributes exist prior to decision making. So if you don't have the information, you don't know kind of what to ask about. And these, they can't correct for any differences in how they're treated based on their gender. So we think that this is an important issue, which has been a little bit understudied in the decision-making of students about what careers to pursue. And there's suggestive evidence that this information matters. So 95% of students say their career preferences change as a result of this study. So the information that they hear from professionals actually working in this field is important to students. And if there is differential information provision, this may affect long-term labor market choices of men and women. Thank you.